Good evening and welcome to this edition of HPU All Access on Wednesday, September 30th, 2020. I'm Emily Nagel.
And I'm Thomas Hart.
COVID-19 has yet again impacted another North Carolina school district.
And Randolph Mall is finally getting an overdue makeover. But first, let's head over to Meredith Haddock for a COVID-19 update. Meredith?
Thanks, Thomas. Hey everyone, I'm Meredith Haddock, and here's the latest news on COVID-19. In North Carolina, the Department of Health and Human Services reported that there are a little over 1,200 new cases since this past Saturday, and a total of 208,000 positive cases since the virus came into the state last spring. As well as that, about 28 deaths have been reported this past week due to the virus here in North Carolina. Nationally, we are looking at about 7.16 million cases with around 205,000 deaths. Luckily, here on High Point's campus, we are seeing the numbers finally go down. As of today, we are now at 39 active cases and we are continuing to drop. HPU's all-time high was at about 170 cases 2 weeks ago, but the decline is proof that the precautions everyone has been taking is working. So, as a reminder, remember to wash your hands, keep your distance, and wear your mask. That's all I have for you tonight on COVID-19. Back to you, Thomas and Emily.
Randolph Mall in Asheboro is getting a facelift for the first time in 4 decades. Randolph County selected the Whole Property Group, which specializes in turning around shopping centers in smaller cities such as Asheboro. John Mueller, the VP of the Whole Property Group, says it's important to reinvest in the property. He mentioned that they will also address one of the largest issues with the mall, which was no back door. The Whole Property says that they have not said how much the renovations will cost, but refer to it as a special investment because the tenants are not paying for the facelift.
Holmes and Reedville middle schools in Rockingham County will be closed until October 11th after an increase in COVID-19 cases. Rockingham County Health Department advised the schools of this decision, which was announced on Sunday. Students at both middle schools had potential exposure to different clusters. Students will also be continuing their school remotely. And now it is time to head over to Crochet Owens to tell us all about what is going on with our campus. Crochet.
Thanks, Emily. Hi, I'm Crochet Owens, and I'm here to bring you this week's campus update. Intersections adjacent to the R.J. Wanick Center will remain closed from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. through October 9th for a university event. Additionally, the R.J. Wanick shuttle stop will be moving to the front of Miller's Gym at 1 p.m. At 6 p.m., the shuttle will move back to the trolley stop at the R.J. Wanick Center. This change will remain in effect for the duration of this week. Don't forget to join your HPU family this week for the block party hosted daily from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday at the Hayworth Park in Patriots Plaza. Barnes & Noble has revised its free return label policy for textbook rentals. After October 1st, a fee will be applied to all return shipping labels. You can find out more information about this process at www.highpoint.bncollege.com. HPU has received its largest donation yet. High Point University alumni Elizabeth Betty Miller Strickland has donated $12 million to HPU endowment. This is the largest gift HPU has received in its 96-year history. This endowment will establish the Elizabeth Miller Strickland Women's Leadership Fund and the Elizabeth Miller Strickland Endowment Scholarship Fund. And that's your campus update. We'll be right back after these messages.
High Point University is focused on preparing students for the world as it is going to be. There's a growth mindset in our institutional DNA. So while our campus growth is impressive, the true relevance lies in how HPU creates an innovative learning environment that fosters the entrepreneurial spirit in the minds, in the hearts, and in the souls of our students. This is High Point University. Extraordinary.
Welcome back to HPU All Access. I'm Thomas Hart. Now it's time to head over to All Access Sports with Rihanna Dozier to see what is happening in the sports world. Rihanna?
Thanks, Thomas. Hi, I'm Rihanna Dozier, and this is All Access. In NFL news, last week we saw some surprising games being played, especially the Bengals game ending in the saddest tie. Sometimes a game is not about how much you are willing to win, but how much you are willing to not lose. Joe Burrow continues to impress us by leading the Bengals on Sunday to end the game in a tie against the Philadelphia Eagles. The Bengals were never too far behind the Eagles as they kept the score close, 10-13 in the second quarter and 17-16 in the third. The Eagles quarterback Carson Wentz played under duress all day, but managed to swarm into the end zone on a 7th-yard run that helped the Eagles tie the Bengals game at the end of regulation. The Bengals grabbed the ball first in overtime and managed a single first down before being pushed back to the 43-yard line for a field goal. The Eagles had the chance to end the game right then and there with a 59-yard field goal with 19 seconds left on the clock, but they were whistled for a false start. The 5-yard penalty for the false start put the Eagles out of range, and the game ended 23-23. Lastly, absolutely no one blows a lead like Atlanta. For the second time in a row, the Atlanta Falcons blew a double-digit lead and lost. The Chicago Bears scored 20 points in the fourth quarter to overcome a 26-10 deficit. The loss could hint at trouble for Falcons coach Dan Quinn, who is in the last year of his coaching contract and has not had a winning record since 2017, where they also blew a double-digit lead in the Super Bowl, enabling the Patriots to score over 30 points in the second half and taking the win. That is all I have for you tonight. I'm Rihanna Dozier, and now back to you, Emily and Thomas.
Atlanta getting some terrifying flashbacks to Super Bowl 51. But now it's time to head over to Grant Hines and David Kleinschuster for All Access Politics. Guys?
Welcome to another week of All Access Politics. As many of you know, with the recent passing of Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the seat left vacant is being highly contested between Democrats and Republicans right now in the Senate.
President Trump's nomination of Amy Coney Barrett, we want to continue Joe and Aurora's conversation from last week regarding a possible confirmation of Judge. So Grant, what are your thoughts on President Trump's nomination?
Some of the hypocrisy that we see stemming from 2016 up until now, especially with Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, but especially with House Judiciary, Senate Judiciary Committee Leader, the chair, Lindsey Graham, who on record was saying that in 2016 he said if President Trump was to be elected, which he obviously has been, and a Supreme Court justice were to die, retire, resign, whatever, that seat should not be filled until the election, until after the election. But he has totally reneged on that statement and is saying that the seat should be, that the president should nominate someone and the Senate has to do each and confirm it. So I think it's pure politics.
Yes, yeah, and I'm just going to go off of that real quick and just state that a tweet from Hillary Clinton concerning Scalia's passing was that her thoughts and prayers are with Republicans in the Senate and on the campaign trail who are calling for Justice Scalia's seat to remain vacant dishonor our Constitution. The Senate has a constitutional responsibility here that it cannot advocate for partisan political reasons.
Well, and I agree with you when you said the president, of course, it's in the Constitution that he has a duty to fill that seat no matter when it happens. But, you know, considering how close we are to the election, my concern, and I'm sure it's the concern of many, is that will Judge Amy Coney Barrett get proper vetting in time for the election? But on the other side of the aisle, some Democrats have vowed that if she is confirmed to the bench, that they are threatening to pack the court, which means they will add more seats to the court, which I personally don't agree with because I think that can lead to a dangerous trend. But when you consider what's at stake here, by confirming Judge Barrett to the court, I have to side with the Democrats. You know, I mean, I partly agree with him on packing it in this time.
There's a lot of politics going on.
Yeah.
But as of the Constitution, I'm going to bring up the 2000 election between Bush and Al Gore, when the vote was split and that the Supreme Court was the ones who decided to recount the votes, and they made that decision which determined Bush to vote Bush into office. And so their whole purpose is to justify and prevent a genuine possibility of civil unrest and to preserve our democratic institutions. And during this season of COVID, the issue with mail-in ballots, there has been always an issue with every single testing done with mail-in ballots. There's always been fraudulence. So in the case of where there could be potential fraudulence, we need a full Supreme Court in order to enact these rights, enact a true president so we can get this presidency on the roll.
Well, yeah, that's fair. I think we can do it with 8, but again, your point is fair. But let's move on to some of Judge Coney Barrett's positions that she might enact while she's on the court.
Absolutely, and one thing that we recognize is that the Democrats are afraid of the stance that Barrett has on abortion rights, and if she is looking to turn over Roe v. Wade. And in a statement, Barrett has stated that she does not believe that the core case of Roe v. Wade will be disintegrated, that women will still have the rights to abortion, but what is under discussion is late-term abortions and the restrictions on clinics.
Well, I think what Roe v. Wade states right now is that women can't have abortions past the 3rd trimester, but I just want to point out that going off your point, Vice President Biden personally does not support abortion either, but he believes that his view shouldn't be imposed on anyone else. And similar to Judge Barrett, during her appeals court nomination, she was almost grilled by Senate committee leaders about whether she would impose her religion on some of the court decisions if she were to be confirmed to the court. So do you think that would be a major issue if she was imposed to the court?
Not. She has been through this fire before when she was sent into the Court of Appeals and when she was nominated there. And she has stated right here on record, it is never appropriate for a judge to impose that judge's personal convictions, whether they arise from faith or anywhere else, on the law.
Yeah, of course. But this is going to be highly contested over the next few months, whether it happens before the election or after. But let's move on to the debate last night, which was also
it was an interesting time all around.
What Jake Tapper from CNN called a firestorm in a dumpster. President Trump, what I saw from him was mostly he didn't lay out really any clear plans of his that he would enact in his 2nd term, but rather just attacking Vice President Biden with mostly falsehoods regarding his policies.
And I think that's fair to say on both sides. President
Not
Trump,
as much, though.
I'll say it on both sides. President Trump, though he is president, don't agree with everything he says. This man, he has his own words, he has his own thing. He came out under the belief, and he's been under attack so much from the media, so he comes out with that mindset that he has to be top dog. I think personally that yes, he does need to tone it down, and yes, he needs to understand that this is debates. We have to be respectful. And so I do agree with that. And so I'm not going to condone behavior like that, but I will say that I do not believe that Joe Biden put forth many plans either way. I think overall it was a very unproductive debate, both sides.
Show. Yeah. A major thing that happened last night that a lot of the media and people were talking about this morning all throughout social media was the president's unwillingness to condemn white supremacy when asked by Chris Wallace. So what do you think about that?
Well, there was no argument towards that. He has already condoned and labeled the KKK and white supremacists as terrorist organizations. That came out last week. He
said he was going to. He hasn't yet, though.
Yes, he has. He has signed and founded that he will pour in $500 million into black communities, as well as he has listed the KKK and Antifa as terrorist organizations. Now, when Joe Biden was asked about Antifa last night, he says that it is an idea and not an organization.
Well, it's not one organization.
Well, we've seen all around that they have been unloading weapons in rallies, in riots to cause destruction. So there's argument about that. But, let's wrap up for this segment.
Yeah, well, that was nice. We'll have to see with the vice president debate what happens next Tuesday. And then the following 2 presidential debates after that. But for now, that's all the time we have for All Access Politics this week. And please remember that if you want to see change, to go out and vote. Guys, now it's time
I head over to Riley Mannion to get our update on entertainment. Riley?
I'm Riley, and welcome back to the entertainment segment. On Monday, Chrissy Teigen was hospitalized after suffering bleeding during her pregnancy. Teigen revealed that she had been constantly bleeding for nearly a month. She couldn't leave her bed and got up only to use the bathroom. She said that she started bleeding, and the bleeding began to get worse, so she decided that it would be best to go to the hospital. Although the doctors say that her placenta is very, very weak, it is said that her baby boy is in good health and that there is no issues. It was just announced earlier that singer and actress Jennifer Lopez will receive this year's People's Icon Award at the 2020 People's Choice Awards. She will be recognized for her performances on stage and on the screen. Lopez has starred in multiple hit films, including Selena and Hustlers, and her music career was capped off with this year's Super Bowl performance. The award will be presented to her on Sunday, November 15th, when the People's Choice Awards airs on E! The baby blues hit many women after giving birth, and this was no different for reality TV star Nikki Bella. Nikki went into the discussion of postpartum depression on the latest episode of her and her sister's podcast, The Bellas Podcast. Her partner and Dancing with the Stars pro, Artem Shigvinstev, had to leave their home to begin filming Dancing with the Stars just 2 weeks after Nikki gave birth. Nikki said that raising her child by herself so early, packing up her home to go move to Artem, and filming her hit reality show Total Bellas all at once caused her to have a massive breakdown. Nikki said that she didn't want to tell Artem about her struggles because she wanted him to focus on winning the mirror ball. However, things were seen to be cleared up. See how all of this plays out on this upcoming season of Total Bellas. That's all I have for All Access Entertainment tonight. We'll be back right after these messages.
Welcome to Freddy's. What can we get started for you?
I haven't had a carb in 3 weeks, and if I have one more sip of a kale smoothie, I need a Freddy's Original double with cheese, fries, and a turtle sundae. Please.
Coming right up.
If you're gonna be bad, it better be good. Being bad never tasted this good.
Bring it on.
Freddy's, the experience that puts a smile on your face and the taste that brings you back.
Access on Wednesday, September 30th, 2020. I'm Emily Nagel.
And I'm Thomas Hart. Let's head over to Dylan Lynn for this week's Student Highlight. Dylan?
Thanks, guys. I'm Dylan Lynn, and this is Student Highlight. Today's guest is HPU's President of Campus Activities Team, or CAT, Taylor Kaplan. Taylor, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So tell us just a little bit about CAT and kind of what it does for students on High Point's campus.
So Campus Activities Team is a way for students to plan, execute, market, and budget different events on campus. And it gives them real world experience before they go out into the world and apply for jobs.
Very nice. So as being president of CAT, how has that helped you as a event management major, and how has that benefited you?
I think it's helped me the most because when I go to apply for different internships or positions in the real world, I'm able to speak on the real world experience and just talk about working with different vendors and the different experiences I've had, and let them know that I do have actual experience doing those things, not just in the classroom, but also outside the classroom as well.
And so can anyone get involved in CAT within its executive team or just as a member themselves?
Yeah, so anyone on campus can get involved. The easiest way to get involved is probably to just DM us on Instagram at HPU CAT, and then we can get you involved. There's different committees. So we have the events committee, the marketing committee, and then the membership committee. And so you can really get involved in any way you want within those 3 different areas. And people who are more interested in a leadership role, we have an executive team as well.
Very nice. Well, Taylor, it was a pleasure for having you on tonight. Thank you so much for joining us for Student Spotlight. And now tune in next week for a feature of another HPU student. Back to you, Emily and Thomas.
Thank you so much, Dylan.
More than 24 people decide to lose their hair, all for a good cause. Over $40,000 were raised for the St. Baldrick Foundation, which helps fund projects that look to find the cure for childhood cancers. The winning team was made up of employees from Brenner's Children's Hospital, and the participants came out to Jugs, Head, Growlers, and Pints, where patients got to help shave their heads. The St. Baldrick's Foundation is still taking donations for the fundraiser.
After much confusion, TikTok gets the green light for downloads for U.S. users. As a federal judge ordered a temporary reprieve as of Sunday, this resolution comes after the Trump administration proposed blocking downloads due to suspicion of the Chinese government taking users' data. That is all we have for you tonight on HPU All Access. Tune again next week, same time, same place. For HPU All Access, I'm Emily Nagel.
And I'm Thomas Hart. Have a great night, High Point.